Yes, yes, it is.
Okay.
Maybe do it full screen.
Yeah, I'm trying to, but it's getting stuck because I'm doing so many things from one laptop. Mm, okay. Okay, so we have few contents for this whole webinar today. We'll talk about hurdles, strategies, and the facilitation processes, and also Ayush will share something about grad application help fund, and we will end with a question answer session. Uh, so if someone asks me what is the education scenario for a Nepali student and all, so this is what I would share them, because us from Nepal, from a really resources limited country, so we are the ladies that you can see on the side with so many obstacles and hurdles in each and every step when we compare with the other more developed settings. So we have, I mean, we have issues related to finance, we have issues related to education system, we had issues related to research, we have issues related to collaborative processes and the projects, and we have also issues related to working under a really accomplished supervisor. So we have a lot of issues and all. And yesterday I was watching this movie, 12th Fail. So he shares about Angrita, how he made it to the Everest without the any oxygen supply, and that is what is more important than going there with the help of others. Well, we have both our own stories of struggle, but I think we all should be very clear on this aspect that yes, we come with a lot of difficulties when we are a student of Nepal. Okay, because and like I shared for many things before only, like we have very few research opportunities, we have very few the faculty development on that level, with very few finance that has been worked out, and very few opportunities within Nepal. So USA being one of the most diverse country and with the best educational infrastructure in the world, that is why it has been destination to a lot of people from all over the world. Mm. So here is one of the slide that I've requested Ayush to share with me, like what a really good CV looks like. And before that, I'll want to ask the students over here, like, have any of you made your CV till date? If you can share. If yes, if not, do any of you have CV till date? You are almost third year students. So, what I would request you all is to make a CV starting today, like right now, your CV. Then you can see, like, how few things you've really done, or maybe, or you've done a lot, but you can really see where you stand right now. Like, what are the achievements you've done? So you see the degree you get. It's only one line. Okay, this is only one line, the one you clear, and you see the CV I'm sharing with him right now. He has the education, which is one line, and then he's done undergraduate research in four of the topic, and then he's done undergraduate research in Harvard University and also in Emory, and there's a publication, and he's a student from Nepal studying in India, already doing research in Harvard, and he's not yet graduated. And he has publications also. There are one, two, three publications in Elsevier. Manuscripts are under review. Likewise, he's done presentations, awards, and he has so many skills, like whatever things he's learned in his undergraduate course and also his extracurricular activities. So I would really request the students to see that what students from the other colleges are doing that makes them acceptable in such programs, or the post graduate programs in the USA. You see, I'll again go back. There's the education, college of pharmacy, which is also important. It's not like you don't really focus on that also, but other than that, you need research experiences, you need collaborative research experiences, you have to have publications, you have to show your presence in doing various presentations, you have to have been participate in Olympiad, quiz competitions, and all these extracurricular activities. And also, very very important is you have to have developed some sort of skills that you can say, okay, this is what I bring to the table. And also the extracurricular activities. Okay, so you can really what I'm saying this in Nepali कि इसको photo खिचेर राखे हुन्छ कि the kind of CV you have to work on. Okay, so
I'll make a comment here.
yeah.
So the US programs get hundreds of applications from international students every year, and you are actually not only competing, not just competing with like US students, you're also competing with other top students from other Asian countries. So what what's really important from your CV is you have some qualities that distinguish yourself among other students, and those has to be some recognizable achievement in the US. So if you won, like say the Math Olympiad, that's great. Even people in the US knows that it's a challenging competition to be in the Math Olympiad. Now, if you won in some other competitions that is less kind of well known, it's important for you to demonstrate how competitive that competition is. For example, if there's like say some Nepal national um, competition in math or science or technology or engineering, you want to say mention how many attendants are there in the competition, or what is the total prize money. Like, I mean, if it is a big enough competition, the winning prize for the first place, I mean, for the first place should be high. That these are all things that would kind of help you signal to the replication to the admission committee that that competition or achievement that you did is something significant. Because we also have like problem with, like, say, a lot of students would include, say, when random that we mentioned that they won in a certain competition, but those end up being like a very small and local competition, say held by a small club or university on their own. So these ones kind of like makes it difficult for the admission committee to tell apart what is a really impressive achievement and what is not. So i- because of that, you really want to kind of include details that signals to the admission how impressive your achievement is. Um, so yeah, so that's important, and of course, any kind of experience that you've done outside of Nepal, ideally in the US or in some other more developed European countries, is good, is helpful, because um, it's very difficult for US professor to assess the quality of the work done by a university that they haven't heard of,
Yeah.
in done that by a professor from a university that they haven't heard of in Nepal. But if you work with any professors in the United States or in the England or in other bigger European countries, it's much easier for the admission committee to trust that the research done by these professors are credible, are valuable. So I really kind of like try to get collaboration opportunities with professors in the US if coming to the US is kind of your goal. Um, and you can try to, I guess I can talk up more about how to find these opportunities later on. But it basically involves either cold emailing professors offering to do our work for them, or you ask your professors in Nepal, whether they have any connections to anyone in the US, and then asking them to refer you for, you have to kind of start with like offering our work for free, because but once you've proven yourself, like say after you work for a professor for a month, once you've proven yourself, a lot of them are happy to fund you in some ways. So yeah, that's most of what I want to add in terms of the CV.
Yes, thank you, Evan. That is very important and insightful that we have to. I think the students should really strategize on how they can collaborate with international professors. Like they can do the data collection or some sort of research. Staying in Nepal, also, they should really start strategizing on how they can develop some collaborative efforts with the professors abroad. Thank you so much. Um, so, yeah, so I was coming with the to Dr. Ammon only. So he's done PhD in finance from the prestigious NYU Stern School of Business, and he's an expert really in facilitating the international students if they want to start their career in institutional. And he's doing this on a personal level, on a personal effort, and helping a lot of students. I've seen with, like, I'm right here telling you that he's really helped many students to with their process to go to United States. So, Dr. Eman, I have few questions for you that I prepared from my own side, and I hope it makes the students a bit clear on what is the process and all that. So there are a few strategies that students right now in the third year should start really working on. Okay, you have to, if you are focused in going to USA, you have to, if you should be very clear on the area of work, your focus area of work, and you should start strategizing. So first of all, Emon, sir, so how important is the academics and GPA, and what is your take on GPA?
Yeah, so if I have to kind of, I mean, roughly break down the importance of each kind of area in terms
Mm-hmm.
of getting admitted to a US master or PhD program,
Mm-hmm.
I would say like the school that you comes from and GPA, it counts for maybe like 30%.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then research, it will count for, I'm talking about for PhD, research, it will count for like over half, like 50 or 60%, and then the rest is like other things that you could show, um, and especially with the problem with like GPA and school, like in the US, if you have a super good GPA from a well-known school, then it's good enough signal that you're a good student. But even with the top university in Nepal, like a lot of the professors just haven't heard of even the top university in Nepal. So when you, even if you show them like you have a high GPA, they have no idea what that GPA means, or whether that means you are a good enough students compared to other applicants. That's why, like, GPA, like even if you are getting a 4.0 or whatever in whatever scale system GPA in Nepal is, like that 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 is still like kind of a weak signal in terms of whether you would be a good uh, competitive student or a competitive researcher. Now, so going into research, um, so what I've seen from a lot of the applicants is that they usually would have worked on some research project that has already been under review from a journal or even published in a journal. But the problem is, like most of these journals that students in Nepal manage to publish in are what we consider like a B tier or C tier journal in the United States. These journals, they are not um, it- really, they are not being cited by the top school researchers, because it's very hard to publish in the top journals in the US, even for US professors. And is, you know, uh, that it's very rare for even Nepal tenured professors to manage to publish in these top journals. So usually, each country has, or like, a lot of the Asian countries have some we call lower ranking journals that is manageable for the professors to publish in. But also that means that the professors in the US a lot of the times just haven't heard of or haven't submitted any papers on these journals. So they would look up the impact factor of the journal, and they will see like a rather low impact factor. That is not the end of the world, but that really discounts the quality of the research, or the signaling part of having a paper published in a journal. So what I'm saying from this here is, is well and nice that you work on a paper and eventually get it published to like a decent journal relative to what you manage to publish in Nepal. But the signaling ability of these publications is limited, because the US professors likely would not even target these journals. So, and even kind of a more kind of a stronger signal that was sent to the admission committee is if you have done any collaborative research with a US professor. Okay. um, if you can get, say, if your team of researchers from Nepal can get, say, one US researcher to be on the paper, that is like a good signal that this research project is a serious one. and has some potential. So if I'm an admission committee, I am in evaluating two different students. One has a publication in a journal from Nepal with a low impact factor, and the other don't have any publication, but is working on a project with a team that involves one or two US professors. I would pick the students that kind of doesn't have publication, but is currently in a project with a US professor, right? So So really strategize when you are picking your research project. The gold standard is you find a research project that a US professor is willing to participate, to be involved in. That will really add to the having a good signal, and when you apply for the graduate schools.
Okay. Thank you. But for us, how do you suggest for students from Nepal to collaborate with professor in USA? Like, what are the steps? Like, can we do something on their own effort?
Yeah. So I mean, I think the easiest way to go about this. I'm not saying this is like an easy thing to do. I mean, it's very hard for a US professor to kind of be willing to collaborate with you or even just professors in Nepal. But I would say the best route to go with is you look up professors in your own department, um, and see if any of them has current projects with professors in the US, right? So if any of them do, that
Mm,
means they have the connection and they have that kind of quality of work that US professors values. And you want to go to talk to this professor, start with getting acquainted with him, in the professor from Nepal. And once you've proven your ability, you can ask if you guys can start a collaborative project with the professors in the United States. So I think that's like kind of the best route to go about it. But of course, I mean, I don't know how often that happens. It is maybe it's true that even the among like say 20 professors in the department, only one of them has like collaboration with US or like European professors. So and I would think they are the kind of the most productive, like the top researcher in the department. So I mean, it's not an easy thing to do to start working with them, but that should be what you try to aim for if coming to the States is what you wanted.
okay. Like, do you have? Is there this strategy also good enough that you find their works on the internet and email to them if they can collaborate with them? Is it possible that professors would respond to such email?
Yes, it depends on the field, right? I mean, if you comes from a field that where projects have to be done somewhat in person, like chemistry, I mean, no, that just cold emailing wouldn't do you any good. But if you are in computer science or data science or finance, economics, or any of the field where collaboration can easily be done over the internet, um, I would say cold emailing has some possibility of getting you working with a professor, right? Basically, the process is let's say, so I'm in finance and data science. So there's a lot of work that I mean, sometimes I could use a help with someone who knows programming, right? So it would involve, say, scraping some data online or just cleaning a data set that I wanted to use.
Mm,
And if someone is coming to me offering to do that for free,
mm,
and I can tell that they are like a good programmer, like they can do their job without too much instructions from me,
mm.
um, I mean, I would allow them to try, Uh, and often it is easier to, instead of like reach out directly to professors, you can start working with US PhD students first.
Okay.
So look up the list of PhD students, send them cold email saying, I am so and so who knows Python, who knows C. I can program, I can scrape data, I can clean data.
Mm,
Can I help you in any of your research projects for free? Right. So you start with that. not many of, like, if you send out 100 emails, maybe only one or two would respond to you, but they might tell you, hey, there's this data set that I'm trying to scrape from online, can you help me? And that would be your first step of like kind of getting in touch with the networks in the US. And say one of my like colleague also in the PhD in NYU, I mean, he's doing that. So someone from, oh, he's from India originally. So some student from India sent him a cold email saying he wanted experience with US research, and he's willing to do work for free, right? So that's how they started. Now he's working on a data set, trying to help my friend, like in also in NYU PhD. And he, in fact, my friend also managed to secure some funding for him, but that's only after he worked for like a month or two, like, and kind of show that he is able to do the work. I think a lot of the times, if you actually work with the US professors or PhD students, you might not get pay, because it is harder for them to arrange kind of payment to you outside of the institution.
Mhm.
But these projects are extremely valuable. I think you should see that as an investment in terms of getting you admitted to a US program, um, and really put in the effort for it. So yeah, so just once again, if you are in a field where research can be done, research collaboration can be done online, I think your best chance is to start with cold emailing some PhD or professors in the US offering to do work for free,
Mhm.
and make sure you kind of state clearly what you can do, the programming language that I mean, data sets that you can scrape, or like, whatever your field, what are the useful things that you can do for the professor. Offer that on the table for them. That will maximize your chance for them to reply you and say, start having you work on something.
Okay, great, thank you. So, I would like to add something to the students here. Like, although we might not have the sophisticated lab and all these things in Nepal, we still have a rich, untapped research, rich, untapped data over there. Like, whenever you're on your work field or whenever you're going out, just try to find out what is that missing link, what is the gap that I can really bring it to the table that might impress someone from some other country. So I think it's quite important for students to think in that frame of mind, to to see how these knowledges can be published in a paper, in what form, and a paper that is really impactful. I think that's very important. And like Amon just shared, it's not about the quantity. Like, you publish 20 papers, but not none of them in a very Q1 journal, then it's not going to have a lot of value. So I think it's like very important that we know it's the quality that matters. Likewise, there are other strategies also, like you said, the 30% and 50% is gone. So there are other percentage that includes the leadership. So how important do you think it is for the students to show that they have these leadership qualities in them in form of other extracurricular activities?
I would say leadership, at least in the STEM field, leadership doesn't count for much, because when I saw a leadership kind of uh, achievement in your CV, like say you are the organizer for a certain club or committee.
Mhm.
I mean, there's no way for US professor to tell whether that is something impressive or not. If you're in like a well-known kind of academic society in the US, they could tell, right? I mean, they know that's an impressive achievement, but I don't think there's any society in the Nepal that the US professors would achieve. So really, leadership here, I mean, I don't think it will count for much or anything. Um, that's in general for STEM. I mean, if you comes from, say, like if you are in a field where if you are, say, in development economics, where, or like in equality kind of research, maybe like being in like a community that helps, say, underprivileged families. I mean, those are important, but in general, if you are from a STEM major on a technical major, leadership doesn't count for much, in the admission.
Okay. Okay, so if you want to go for other areas, for example, policy, public policy, health policy, and these sectors, then maybe leadership would work. So I think it's very important for students to know what is the area of interest. I think, right? Correct, Amin? What is the
Mhm.
area of
Yeah,
interest,
yeah, yeah.
and then work.
Yeah, I mean, if you are in public policy or politics, being in, say, some political committee that is well known in Nepal, sure, that could mean something, But yeah. Mhm.
Okay. So what about the community works and community efforts that student gets engaged themselves with? How important is this area?
What do you mean by community worker? Like, what are some examples of community work?
Like they volunteered in, like during COVID, they volunteered in a district, in the hospital, and volunteered in a school teaching students, and these kind of community, volunteering works, and their involvement in the
See,
community projects.
yeah. So once again, volunteering doesn't count for much because it's very hard for you to demonstrate kind of the quality, or like, so and grad school admission is all about signaling. Okay, what you want to put on your CV is something that you have done that no one else can do, or very few others can do.
Mm,
Volunteering in general is something that, I mean, everyone can do. Like, I mean,
mm,
you don't have to have like a good CV to start volunteering. So
okay,
those, doesn't help with signaling, and it doesn't help you much really, in the admission process.
okay.
Um, I mean, yeah, I mean, it is very nice for one to volunteer their time to really help their own community.
Mm-hmm.
But U.S. admission committee usually doesn't care much about that. Um, they usually only review the applicants based on their merits, not so much on their selflessness, or like how involved they are with the community. So
Okay.
yeah.
So next we have like collaborative projects that you also said it's quite important to collaborate with professors abroad, and we touched a bit about it. We can email them or talk to our professors in our department if they have such connections. I think this is one of the area where we are really deficient because we have so less projects going on in Nepal and very few internationally funded projects. They're like the research projects basically. So like we shared two few things that we can either email them or you can submit a proposal or two. But there are students from Nepal who've got like really good grants and all, from Nepal, and they've got it and they're doing the research. So you have anything to add in this demo, the collaborative projects?
Also, I want to mention that when you code email professors, don't start with like a project idea. Like you might have some idea about what you think is valuable, but um, the U.S. professors has a very high bar on what is counted as valuable research. You when you email them, you just want to come with a blank kind of open mind.
Mm-hmm.
You want to mention all your skills that you can do,
Mm-hmm.
all the possible things that you can do, and you let them pick. You let them tell you what you could be of use, right? So I mean, if you started with like telling professors that you wanted to say work on this project doing something specific, no, you won't get any response because it's just unlikely that the professor would find this specific project that you propose to be helpful or useful, right? um, if you have like specific things that you want to work on, you could bring up this project with the professors in Nepal, and if they actually found this project to be highly valuable, let them approach the US professors in proposing these ideas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have these standardized tests like GRE, TOEFL, Duolingo. TOEFL is for language, GRE is for this analytical skills. So I think a lot of, not a lot, but some universities have done GRE behavior. But how do you think, how much should student really invest in these GRE scores and all?
Yeah. So GRE and TOEFL, I usually put them together with a GPA and kind of school thing. I mean, it's along the side of doing well in exams. I mean, so yeah, I mean, GPA, school, and GRE all together accounts for maybe like 30% of your application. Um, if you are in a super quantitative field like math or economics or computer science, having a good GRE score could make a difference. And I know taking GRE score exams are expensive, but yeah, like if the schools do look into your GRE scores, like you could try to score high on GRE. Like if you think about it, if you're comparing yourself against a US candidate, like your advantage is maybe you're willing to put in more time in practicing and doing well in the exam. So, GRE could be one place where you really distinguish yourself, right? TOEFL, I mean, if the schools requires for it, you have to have a TOEFL score sent to them. But having a good TOEFL score doesn't give you extra points. It's more like, if you don't have a high enough score, you don't get considered. Your application don't get considered.
Okay. I'd like to also add, like, there are, if some students have like a poor economic condition and all, GRE, I think you can, GRE can be made free. I think there's some provision over there. You have to present some document. If someone wants to give a GRE and things like, economically, it's quite expensive for me. There are other ways. There are ways to get the subsidy on the GRE exams. Now coming to personal statement, what do you suggest, Amon? This is such a, such a vague topic, or talking about personal statement. So,
Yeah. So, and once again, I'm only talking about the the con the this is only applicable for like a quant field, like STEM or engineering, um, or economics. Yeah. So personal statement and statement of purpose. I mean, both of these, like they are things that you wrote about yourself, right?
mhm,
Um, they generally don't count for much, like because, well, first of all, they are not standardized in that, as a professor, like as someone from the admission committee, when I have to compare two person statements, it's very hard for me to come up with like a standard of measuring two against each other. With
mhm,
GRE score, I can just see which student has a higher score.
mhm,
With the school that it comes from, I can just see who comes from a higher ranked school with a better GPA. But you can say a lot of things on personal statement. Some might be true, some might not be. So personal statement in terms of the signaling part is very noisy. I would even say like it counts for less than 5% of your application.
okay,
Um, so I mean, it makes sense to put in some time to write a good one because uh, like uh, I mean, those are it's like
Right.
you can't improve your GPA overnight, but you could write a good personal statement. But
mm,
all in all, it doesn't count for much. So um, is the more objective qualities of you that can be shown on the CV that counts in terms of admission, and that goes the same with the statement of purpose.
okay. Because, for us, we have some sort of misconception that it is your personal statement that really gets you the positions and all. So, yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense that rather than abstract things, the actual objectified things is what counts. So, still requesting the
Yeah, and
school.
I also want to mention that you know, often there's like I said, there's hundreds of applicants to a single position in the US, like a PhD position.
Mhm,
The professors, they do get these. Often they will get like a copy of your CV and personal statement. They read through the CV and immediately throws out like say half or two-thirds of the applications, right? And then they might end up with say 20 or 10 personal statements that they would have to read. I mean, if you have tried it, you don't have the patience to carefully read every single thing on this personal statement. You want to quickly just skim for what's new or what's kind of important that they mentioned in the personal statement. So first, your personal statement want to be short. You don't want it to be long. The professors don't have that patience to read 20 long personal statements. You want it to be short. You want it to be concise. In your first paragraph, you want to highlight your achievement. Like you want to make it very clear on the first paragraph, what you achieved. Like if you kind of start talking about it on the third paragraph, the professor might have throw away your personal statement before getting to your third paragraph, right? So just whenever you write your personal statement, think about the professors having to review 20, 30 copies of personal statement, and then go from there. Think about how you can write it in the most convenient way for the professors to extract information from this personal statement.
Okay. Okay. I think I've missed. Okay. So coming to recommendations later. Like the what sort of recommenders the professors should write a recommendations letter, what sort of professors should you look for, and who should write a recommendations letter. So what is your take on this?
Okay, yeah. So recommendation letter and supervisor basically goes hands in hands with research, right? Because so first of all, if you had like a just a professor that you have taken a class with, write your recommendation letter, that
Okay.
letter counts for nothing. Like if you haven't done personal research with the professor, you know, uh, only recommendations letter from professors who you have research with counts. Um, so that's the first thing. And then also it's obvious that from there that you only get a good recommendation letter if you have good research experience. Recommendation letter is more just a way for the professors that you have worked with to sum up what you have done and what you can do in research. So once again, same as what I've talked about with kind of getting getting work with US professors. So in terms of the hierarchy of who is best to be your supervisor or recommendation letter writer, the gold standard is you get a US professor to write your recommendation letter, right? So if you have done free RA work for US professor, or if you are in the collaboration team with the US professor, you can get them to write you a recommendation letter. That's the gold standard. Going one level down is you have like a well-cited professor from Nepal to write you a recommendation letter, right? So you can look up their Google citation. You can see who has the most number of citations on your department on Google Scholar, right? So if you can't get like a US professor to write you a recommendation letter, at least get a well-cited Nepal professor to write your recommendation letter. Okay. Um, and then if because if you're starting with like say a Nepal professor that haven't have much cited publications yet, once again, the U.S. professors don't know if they could. The U.S. admission committee don't know if they could trust this professor. Your professor could write really good things about you. He could say that you are like one in a million good, right? But that might not count for much if he himself isn't a good researcher. Like only a good researcher has the ability to evaluate whether a research is good, right? So you once again always goes with a US professor in terms of gold standard. If you don't have that, you want to find a professor who has really good citations on Google Scholar to be your recommendation letter writer. And then if you really couldn't find that, I would say your chance of getting admitted to the US is pretty low already. So
Okay. Thank you. So now coming to supervisor, like a lot of students when they finish their UG, they from the start they say, okay, write email to your professor, find a supervisor. So how important it is to find a supervisor whose work is what interests you and who you think could really help you meet your goals. So how important it is, and how do you find a supervisor, and how do you reach out to them?
right. So I understand supervisor is the person that you do research with. So which is kind of similar to what's in recommendation letter, right? So go through the same advice that I have given for how to reach out and start research projects, right?
Mhm.
One thing I would want to mention is if you do plan to come to the US, I mean, you want to plan early, right? You can't just start thinking about applying to US on the last year of your college. You have to start thinking about it early. And if say, let's say I don't. Let me give an example. Like if you are from economics and you do want to come to US for a master or PhD in economics, it's very helpful to have a mentor, right? Someone from the field who is currently or have done education in the US to give you advice, to tell you what you need to do. I like if you don't have these kind of mentors and just don't know how the US admission system work, your chance of getting admitted is really low, right? And the way you find this mentor, so there's a few possibilities, right? So one is you actually send cold emails to current PhD students in the US or current master students in the US and just tell them, hey, I'm from Nepal. I really wanted to do a master's or PhD in a certain field. Can you give me advice? I mean, some of the people, I mean, they are just happy to guide new students. They won't charge you. I mean, some of them are just happy to be friends and tell you what their experience is. And I mean, you can also just specifically look for students from Nepal that is doing master or PhD in the US. I think they might be more happy to kind of share their experience with you. So these kind of cold email is one possible way. Another way is if you go on Reddit, the US kind of forum, or if you go to, there's a Discord where that is specifically for graduate school applicants. So these are also places where someone who is just happy to help freely help you, guide you in your decisions. You can find these people on this Reddit or Discord. So I'll say if you have a clear goal of wanting to come to the US, reach out to me or Ayush early on, and we can show you which Reddit or which Discord you
Okay.
can go to find someone who could be your mentor, basically tell you everything you need to know about coming to the US. Like right now, the advice that I gave is only kind of general STEM major quantitative field advice.
Mm-hmm.
But for each field, it's best to have a PhD or master students in that field to give you field specific advice.
Okay, great. So again, repeating again, like students can go to Reddit, go to grad education, and that is where they can find the mentor. Suppose, for example, someone from public health would want to do PhD in or masters in epidemiology. So you go to Reddit, go to grad education, or you can, or like Amon said, you can email him or uh, then go to Reddit, and then you can find grad education for epidemiology. So there you can look for your mentors who can really guide you well and probably help you with a lot of problems that we talked about earlier, finding the supervisor, doing research, and all these things. Maybe they will be able to help you in these regards. Thank you.
Yeah. Like once you found the right Reddit, it's not hard to find these people. So like, I'm in economics, right?
Mm,
So I participate in the academic economics Reddit. And once in a while I will see code message from Reddit asking me. They will say like, "Hey, I saw you making these comments on the subreddit, and I'm a prospective student. Can I ask you about certain questions?" I mean, I get these messages like a few times a month,
mhm,
and I'm just happy to answer the questions, right? I mean, if you are on Reddit, you're the type of the person who likes to share your experience, who likes to just help people. So, like it actually works.
mhm. Thank you. Now, next, I think I missed it out here. Like, there was a questions also. What sort of skills you want, and I'd like to share it with you again. We're very theoretical here. We have very few, practically we can get involved. So, someone who wants to really develop their skills, for example, let's say in R or all the sorts of these kind of skills. So, how do you think the students from LMIC can really tap onto these learning opportunities?
Um, well, when you say skills, I assume like I mean, so it's hard to like have a general statement on how to develop skills. But if it is programming experience,
Mhm.
in Python or in in R, in MATLAB, obviously you can find some cheap, or find some free online course, right, to learn this programming language.
Mm.
And then now it's also, here's where having a mentor is important. Like for each field, there are specific programming skills within that field that is helpful. For economics, you want data cleaning skills. And it's very hard for me to describe to someone outside the field what is needed. So you don't want to be like, doing online course for a year without knowing what skills are needed. You want to reach out to the mentor early on and ask him, I know Python. What are specific packages or specific skills that I can develop in Python that will be useful for research, right? Um, so it boils down to like getting a good mentor and someone who knows what the field needs, and then develop the corresponding skills in that way.
Okay, thank you. Now we're on the next. We talk about facilitation a bit. I just keep it as a vague facilitation. Amon, would you like to share something on how to get facilitated to go to USA for educational opportunities?
Facilitation, you mean?
For example, what sort of help we can get, or what sort of people, like you talked about mentor. I've seen one students network where you can join. Like for example, a lot of application fees to the colleges are free or funded, or all these sort of things. Like I think if you can present a paper, the application, because I've seen somewhere people are asking for code where they can get application fee waiver.
Maybe I use. Can you talk about what the fund does?
Okay.
Yeah, I think this is my part. So yeah. So basically,
Ayush, can you introduce yourself? Thank you so
okay.
much,
So
Raman.
my
I'll
name
come
is
back to
Ayush, and yeah, thanks to Ammon, I'm now the CEO of the fund we work on, and I'm a second year computer science undergraduate in Tribhuvan University, and sometimes I work as a freelancer. So yeah, that's about me. And yeah, talking about the application fees, since I've been working for the fund, I have been a bit active on the groups. Like there are groups on Facebook related to masters and PhD in USA. So what I have seen from my experience is that some universities or some professors can offer you like application fee waiver codes. Okay, so if some people have that, they can give pass it to you, and if you apply those codes, you will get your application fee for free. Basically, you don't have to pay a fee for putting in the application in that college. So for that, you can be very active on those groups. I regularly see posts related to like, if anyone has application fee waiver code for this university, please help me, and stuff like that. And also for the mentor, maybe there are people who are sharing their experiences on getting selected, and what kinds of experiences they had, what kind of research experience, what was their GPA and stuff like that. So maybe if you are active on Facebook, you can check out those groups as well actively, so you can get more knowledge about how people are getting in, what are the necessities for it. And yeah, that would be one part of the facilitation. For other part, I would say like, yeah, we have a small fund. It is called grad application help fund. And if lucky, you have to be very good to be selected for that. The bar has been set very high by people who got accepted this year, and next year we'll also again be accepting more students. So if in case you get selected there, then we'll basically help you with application fees, GRE fees, or TOEFL fees, basically anything that is required for you to apply to US. So that's what the fund is for. I could talk more about the fund at the end. For now, I think I should leave it to the other guys.
I think no, Ayush, it's your turn only because a lot of students in our colleges, they're scholarship students, and some of them have
Okay.
difficult finances, so they might be able to get that they might be able to make themselves so competitive with all the skills they need, do the research, but still if things like GRE, the fees for GRE, the fees for TOEFL, the college application fees, these are the small things that really can work as a barricade. So for these options, like the people, like I got some questions on how you manage on the finances. I think this is one of a very good option that you can look for, but again, you have to be the cream, like you have to be really good.
Yeah, maybe I should share that doc and explain accordingly. So should I share my screen?
Yeah, sure,
I have the
sure,
doc. Okay.
sure. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So there is a small doc. This time it was, we just started this year, so the fund was a bit not that well organized. But next year we are working on developing a website. We'll also have a Discord server and stuff like that, so things will be more organized from next season. For now, I have a small doc prepared and I'll share things accordingly. All right.
Okay.
Okay, so is my screen visible
Not yet.
now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so basically, we currently the fund is operating on a Facebook group. Okay, I have created a Facebook group, and we have like 160 students there. Okay, we have 160 students there, and yeah, we communicate through that. But it is not that organized since it is Facebook group. So we'll be moving to Discord or something else for the next season. So let's move to the important part. So so first thing you should know about the fund is the fund will only help with applying to programs that are funded. Okay, funded in the sense that you should receive that program should offer you full scholarship if you are wanting to go to a university by paying some fees, okay, as you know, like tuition fees. So sorry, the fund will not help you for applying to those universities. It will only help you to apply to those universities that basically offer you full scholarship along with a chance of stipend. Okay, so that is the main thing you should consider before applying. And after that, how it works, how to get selected. All right, so basically there are two stages: application and interview. Okay, so for application, you guys will send me whatever you have, okay, basically your resume and anything you have that makes you a deserving candidate. Then after, we'll review those applications, and after that we'll shortlist some. And if you are luckily shortlisted, you'll move on to the next round, which is the interview. Okay, in this interview round, the main okay, so Amon and all other people we have for the fund will be talking to you directly. Okay, they will ask you some questions about you, your academics, your research project and stuff like that. And if your answers mean your answers are relevant, and if they are happy with your answers, you will be accepted for the fund. All right, so if you are accepted for the fund, you will receive assistance with the application fees as promised. So that's how it works for now. For more info, okay. So I'm focusing more on the competition part because this year we have like, I don't know, 25 people from Nepal maybe. And yeah, some of them are very good. Like they have set the bar very high. So you have to be very good to be accepted. Like there is one guy who is working with a research project from University of Birmingham. And what that brother has told me that they have access to supercomputers on you from UK and are working on that project. So we have people of that category that got accepted. So if you want to be accepted, you have to be very good. So I have pasted one screenshot here which will give you a better idea. Okay, so let me focus on that. So there was one person, okay, I think he was from chemistry or biology, I forgot, I think it's biology. So what he had was he had a good profile, he had few publications that were in Q1, Q2 and Q3 journal. Okay, so so we had shortlisted him, and this is what Amon told him. Okay, just to give you an idea of how competitive it is. So you can read the chat. Okay, Amon tells him like, yeah, I understand. Also be more open and direct here. While your profile is better than average, you are comparatively weaker than other students I have agreed to fund this year. Okay, because others he was good, but others were very good. Okay, and you have to be very good to get in to increase your chances of getting into US. So you need to have some journals published and stuff like that. Basically, anything that makes you a deserving applicant. So after, if you can, okay, so if you have that, then you will be shortlisted and you will be accepted for the fund. So you have to be outstanding because you know the competition is going to be very high. Just like Eamon said, you are not only competing with students just from Nepal, you will be competing from students all over the world. So if you want to get your chances high, you have to be special. And that's what we look for the fund. While funding, we majorly focus on that aspect. And also for the GPA, like we have from the fund, we have one guy who had like, I don't know, maybe 60%. Okay, but he had very good research and publications, which increases his chances for applying. So in case you have a low GPA, don't worry too much. If you can, like reimburse for it with your research and projects, then you have a good chance. So yeah, and please keep your application simple. Okay, like Ayman said, stick to the facts. Okay, because you're applying for fund, stick to the facts. Don't mention things like, yeah, I have done this and that. Basically, just stick to the facts for your application. So I've given one example. Okay, so this is from a guy who got selected. Okay, he had written a very short application. Some application that I found this year, they were like essays. Okay, so it's very hard for us to navigate on what is there. So basically, if you are applying, try to keep it short. Okay, just stick to the facts. cut out all the fluff. Don't include things like, yeah, I was involved in this CCA, I won one small competition and stuff like that, I am hardworking. Don't put things like that. Stick to the facts. Okay, so let's see an example. Okay, so hi Ayush bhai, I am applying for a PhD in or system sciences or hydrology for the fall 2024 cycle. Okay, he has given in exact information what he is applying for. Okay, so yeah, I came, this is also fluff, you don't have to include that. Okay, came across your Facebook post and I must thank you and M1 team for the wonderful opportunity. Yeah, it sounds good, but yeah, you don't have to include this. And yeah, so here he sticks to the facts. Okay, he just, in this paragraph he has given me everything that is there to look for him. Okay, I am a senior topper at civil engineering department. He asked me to cover the universities and stuff, so I have done this. Sorry about that. I have scored this much in GRE, this much in TOEFL. I am currently working as a research assistant to prof. He also asked me to hide the name of the prof, so sorry about that. At the this university. Okay, I have first authored two research articles, one under review and one recently submitted. I also led the Nepali team to International Olympiads PHO 2018 and co-authored a book on physics Olympiad. More details about my research experience and academics are attached in my CV. So this is how you should write. Okay, basically in these 4 lines he has given me everything he has. Okay, there is no fluff. Okay, he has not mentioned anything else, he has just stick to facts, and that makes us easier to filter you. So yeah, that's how you should write an application if you are applying for the fund. And yeah, so this is not a format again. This is not a format. You don't have to write it in the same way that he has written, but I hope you get the gist. You have to write it in a way that makes it easier for us to scan. Okay, like it's easy to like distinguish between a good resume and a bad resume, but